In order to subscribe to my channel, please click here or click here. Please share, comment and like my videos and channel. Hello guys, welcome to SaaS with ServiceNow. This session is about SSO implementation in ServiceNow. If you got a new requirement from your customer or client to implement SSO in ServiceNow, or you want to learn how to implement SSO in ServiceNow, then this is the right video for you. In this session, I will show you how you can implement SSO, that is single sign-on, in ServiceNow. I have used a public SSO provider to show you the live demo, the practical demo. Before we talk about configuration of SSO, let's quickly see what is SSO. SSO is called single sign-on, which is an authentication method which allows users to use single username and password to log into different applications integrated with same SSO platform, like Google SSO, Oracle SSO. You can log in to all the applications of Google like Gmail, YouTube with the same username and the password that is called SSO login, which needs single login details only to log into different applications. SSO Providers. SSO platform is enabled with various ways. You can create your own SSO platform. However, there are different SSO providers as well in the market, like ADFS, which is a Microsoft product usually available in all the organizations and is a part of Microsoft server capability. But it's up to organization if they have enabled this ADFS feature or not. There are other cloud SSO providers as well in the market like Okta, Idaptive and LogMeIn, and there are many others as well as part of SSO providers. That means they provide the platform for different organizations so that they can use their platform to log into different applications. Enable SSO in ServiceNow. If you want to implement SSO in ServiceNow, you have to enable it first. Now this is the plugin which you can enable to activate single sign-on application in ServiceNow. That's an application single sign-on SSO. Now once this plugin is enabled, you will see this SSO application which is called as multi-provider SSO. And in this application, you can implement and configure SSO for your ServiceNow instance. Demo SSO Provider. In order to show you this implementation practically, I will be using a public SSO provider called SSO Circle. You can also try with other public SSO provider in your personal developer instance. Else, you can use enterprise single sign-on provider in your organization and try single sign-on maybe in one of your lower environment with any existing SSO provider in your organization. Before I proceed with the session, I want to make an important point that this is just a demo. In real implementation, your organization should have a SSO platform or provider which you can integrate with your ServiceNow instance. Prerequisite. There are two major prerequisites of this implementation, that means SSO implementation. One is details of IDP, that is details of your SSO provider, which can be in metadata format, or you can also put the details manually in ServiceNow. So overall, you have to store the details in ServiceNow for your SSO provider, for your identity provider. And another one is metadata from ServiceNow. So you also need to store that information about ServiceNow in single sign-on provider configuration. so that both the platforms can communicate and integrate with each other and they can talk to each other. IDP. Now this is IDP record, which is basically identity provider like ADFS, Okta. In this record, you store the details of your identity provider. That's something you will get it from your identity provider and you will save over here. You will store those informations in this particular record. The first step is register your public SSO. As I mentioned earlier, in order to show you this demo, we have to get a public single sign-on provider so that I can show you this practical demo. So what I will do, the first step would be I will register for that particular public single sign-on. So let me go here and I will open the website, and that is ssocircle.com, and I will press enter. When I will do that, you will see this particular page. Now here at the top, you can see sign in or register, and then you can click on register. If I click over here, now here it will ask me to register. So what I will do, I will just give a random maybe username. So maybe I will just do SaaSNow SSO test. That's my username I'm just giving. SaaSNow SSO test. And I'm just giving the random password. So then I can just do SaaSNow SSO test. And it automatically taken my first name, like full name from first name and last name. Then I can put the email address. Now this email address is very important. That's something you will see later. Now because this is just a demo, and if I talk about in real world, that's something that will be something quite different, but logic, the implementation will be quite straightforward. The similar kind of implementation steps will be followed. So I will just put my email address, which is my just a dummy email address I'm just using for all these demos. So I will just put my email address and that's it. Now I will click on register. Now, once I will click on register, it will send an email to my inbox. That means email inbox, which we have mentioned over here. I have to verify the account and then I can start using it. So I will click on register. It says, do you want to agree? Yep. I will click on agree. It says welcome, but I will just quickly verify my account. I have verified the account. Now I will just log in to my SSO Circle account. So I will just give the username, and the username I used SaaSNow demo, SaaSNow SSO test, and password I can give, which I used during the registration, and I will click on login. So you can see I have entered in my SSO Circle account. This is my user profile right now, and I have got the basically now I can use this public SSO Circle so that I can show you this demo. Get metadata from SSO Provider. Now we will get the information of single sign-on provider basically in metadata format. So we will just copy it. How can I get this data? I will go to this particular screen. That means on the same instance which we have from SSO Circle, I will click on manage metadata. Now here you can see we have this SSO Circle public IDP metadata, because this can only work with public, because this is not enterprise version I can use over here. It has to be public. So I'm just clicking on here, public IDP. So now you can see I have got this XML. And what I will do, I will just copy this. Create IDP record and store those details of IDP. So now we will create an IDP record in ServiceNow instance. So if I go over here and I go to my instance, so let me search first, do I have it enabled? No. So you can see that it is not enabled. So before I do anything or before I take any step, I first have to enable it. That's what we talked about. So maybe I will quickly go to plugins. It won't take that much of time to enable it. So I can just quickly enable it. This is the list of plugins we have. So I will just type SSO. And if I will type SSO, you will see that application. Let me quickly see. Yep, that's the one. So we have this integration multiple provider single sign-on installer. So I will click on it. It will ask me to activate and I will activate it. Now it's not that much big application, I would say. So it won't take much of time to install it. You can see, I think 49% already completed. You can see it says success. That means plugin has been activated successfully. Now I can do one thing. I can just quickly reload the instance. So I will just reload it. Now in the application navigator, if I will type SSO, now this time you will see we have this application, same application which we were talking about, multi-provider SSO. Now what I will do, I will just click on identity providers over here, where basically you store the information of single sign-on identity provider. As of now, I think this is just out of the box. So basically it is just deactivated. It's just to show you the example. That's it. So I will click on this new button and I have to select this SAML. So I will just select the SAML one. Now you will see this new form. Now, if you remember, I mentioned two things that you can fill this form in two ways. One is manually, or you can also get the metadata. So in this case, we have already copied the metadata, which I can use over here. And that is also you can use like URL or XML. So this pop-up will automatically come. You can also close it if you want to import the details, that metadata of the provider. So I will select XML and I will paste the same XML which we copied from SSO Circle configuration. So I will just paste it over here. So we got from that identity provider, because SSO Circle is our identity provider in this case. And I just need to click on import and then you will see the magic. If I click over here, you can see that it has automatically populated the values, basically the details of SSO Circle. That is our identity provider. So you can see a lot of details are automatically populated. Even ServiceNow instance, because that's something it took automatically from here. And then information about this identity provider we have. And then let me show you one important thing. This one, user field. Now, one of the important factor I would say in order to identify the user, how system will come to know whether this user is present or not. That's something you have to mention. So which user field you have to mention, that's something you have to provide over here. You can see the field is email. That means system will match the email address of the user, whatever users you have in the system, because as of now, or maybe I would say till now, both the systems were not talking to each other, so they don't have any information, or whatever username I selected, it is not available in ServiceNow right now. So how system will know? So that will be email. So that means you have to configure same email, whatever emails you have in your identity provider. I think in this demo perspective, I definitely have to mention, but once you will implement in your organization, you will definitely have email addresses for your employees, and you will have same information in your identity provider as well. But that's what you do, because user system should be matching, all the user data should be matching. That's how then you can authenticate users in your identity provider. The next step is generate metadata in ServiceNow on same IDP. So basically, whatever identity provider racket we have created, we have to generate the metadata from ServiceNow so that we can copy it and paste it on identity provider configuration. So I will just go to my instance. I have to click on this generate metadata. If I will click on it, this will basically open this page. You can see it says service provider metadata. we have to copy this and install it in the identity provider. So I will just copy this. Then we will store ServiceNow metadata in single sign-on provider, that is SSO circle. So I will go to my instance over here and I will go to here. Now here you can see in manage metadata, you have to click on add new service provider. So I will just click on add new service provider and I will paste it. Now here you have to provide the URL. Which URL? You can just put this one till here. You don't have to put HTTP. So I will just paste it. And now I will just click on submit. You can see it says metadata was successfully imported. So if I will click on manage data again, you can see my URL is being showing here. Perform a quick test. Now I will show you that how exactly you can test it once you are done with the configuration at both the sites. That means in both the platforms, now you can do testing just to check whether both are connected or not. How can we do that? Let's take a look. So we will go to over here. Now here I will click on this test connection. If I will click on this test connection, it will show a pop-up over here. You can see it is showing me the SSO circle login page. That means at least it is routing to the right URL. However, it is asking me to authenticate first. So what I will do, I will just give my username and password, which we just created. I will do SSO test and then I will give the password and I will click on login. Let's see what it says. It is asking me to provide some more details like I'm not a robot. So I will select here and I will select like crosswalks. Okay. And yeah, I think we should be good. I will click on verify and I will click on continue SAML and let's see what happens. You can see it tried to test the results and it tick marked all the validations, but this one got failed. The reason behind it, because user name, that means the user email address is not present. And if you remember, the only identification field was user email address. That's the basically email address you mentioned during the registration. So that is not available in ServiceNow instance. What exactly we need to do that? And that's our next step. Then we will update the user with registered email address. That is, that email address should also be available in your single sign-on provider. That means in your IDP. So if I come over here, I will open the user table. And what we will do, because we want to log in via single sign-on and we want to use the same account which we are using right now. So I will update basically the same username which we have here, that is system administrator. So I will just mention admin. I will search for admin I have over here. Now here I can provide the email address and that is SAASWITHServiceNow@gmail.com. You're done. Just save it. Now you will do a quick test. You will see a difference. So if I go to over here and open this racket which we created, as of now it is still not active. And I will click on test connection because you can only make it active once the test is successful. So I will just provide the username SAASNow SSO test and then I can put password. I will click on login. I will check this box. It will ask me for some images, traffic light, and then I can click on verify. It's done. Continue. Let's see what happens. Absolutely, you can see that this time test got successful. The reason behind it, because this application was able to find same email in the system. That means for one of the user, email address was the same. That's how you can configure. So now test is successful. And if I will go a little bit bottom, you can see it says activate. So that means I can activate this IDP record. And if I click on it, it is activated, and I can also make it default because it is single sign-on. It has to be default, and then I can just save it. Then we have enable redirection. Now, as of now, users will not be routed to SSO page when they try to access your ServiceNow instance. How exactly they can route? You have to enable it. The IDP which you have installed, which you have stored, basically users will be automatically routed with that to that IDP. How can we do that? Let me do that. So I come over here. If you go a little bit bottom, here you have this related link. You just need to click on this. And what exactly it does, that's something it is very important you to know. So the important part here is, if I click it, it will basically mention at the top as a message that this has been set to redirect the URL. So you will see the message. You can see auto redirect IDP is set. That means whomsoever user will basically come to your instance, access your instance, they will automatically be routed to this particular URL. And then if I show you the property for this, so let me show you the property. So if I go to properties, this properties, press enter, we have a redirect property. So I will just do redirect. And you can see over here, it says authenticate.sso redirect IDP. Now this SysID which I'm talking about, this SysID is of your SysID of your IDP record. You can see it starts with 5454. If I come over here and click on it, you will see similar SysID of this record. And maybe I can see it from here. You can see it says 54545. That means it's the same SysID which is mentioned in the redirection. Now the last step is to enable SSO. So for that, you have to go to the properties, which is under over here. Under administration, you have this properties. I will click on this. And here you have this property. You just need to check this box and click on save. That means your SSO is done. All the configurations are done. Once you are done with all the configurations which we just did, that means SSO is implemented. Now you can test this. So if you're implementing in your lower environment, you can just do a quick test. Maybe with your ID, maybe you can ask some other users to test it. So let's test this, whether we are able to route to directly to SSO page rather than ServiceNow login page. So if I come over here and if let's say I will just log out. So I will just maybe log out and then I will try to access the same URL. So I will remove it from here and I will press enter. Let's see if we can see the magic. It is trying to log in and you can see now I'm not getting my instance login page. This is my SSO login page, the page which is from service provider, which is from SSO provider, identity provider. That's what. So without putting username and the password, I cannot enter to my instance. That means if you will implement SSO in your organization, none of the user can log into your instance without authenticating via this page. So if I enter, so let's say I have SaaSNow SSO test. I will give the password and I click on login because my email address is already there. So I will be able to log in with the same account. So I just select the traffic lights. Yeah, here as well, maybe. Click on verify. And I will click on continue SAML. You can see that now I can access ServiceNow instance. So that means I was able to implement single sign-on in my personal developer instance successfully. And I'm sure similarly, if you will follow the same steps, you will be able to implement single sign-on for your customers and clients. So please like, comment, and share my channel and videos, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a great day.